everyone. Welcome back to Absolutely. My name is Benny, and Hassan is fired today. This is his last episode. So, this is the channel where we get together and talk about rumors and stuff. So, Hassan, in your last episode ever here on Absolutely, last episode, period, you've been fired. Officially have been fired. Today's episode is brought to you by This Hot Sauce Is. We fixed it. You can order it now. Go check it out. Hatch and Jalapeno. Link is down below. All right, anyway, on your last episode ever, we're going to talk about the possibility of Thor 4.
Thor 5.
Thor 5.
That's a re-4. They're going to do it over again.
So, okay, apparently, Taika Waititi was doing his tour going around, right?
Did you say Taco?
He said Taco Waititi. Hey, Taika.
No, I'm good. That man did so much coke and ruined Thor 4.
That's true. You're going to have orgies on Thor.
I no longer have respect for him. His only good movie was
I only
Jojo
have respect for the orgies he was doing.
Rabbit.
Cool.
I mean, they are high-caliber orgies with
Given who
high-caliber
was in
options.
said orgies, pretty cool you did that. Sad you ruined my movie, but
Yeah, I wish you had done it
This
like
isn't a
maybe
situation if he
before.
ruined Thor 4 because of, oversight from MCU or Chris Hemsworth. This
Interference,
was the dude was
absolutely.
doing coke and orgies.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
Too busy. Yeah, and by the way, before people get like all uppity about that, it's like, they also did like a press tour where they threw the visual effects team, which are essentially like one like ladder rung above slaves, under the bus for how crappy the movie looks. And it's
Chris
like,
Hemsworth came out and said, "I will never do that again." Like
Yeah.
the actor who was on board to work with him, it was like, no, f that shit. I'm not doing that.
yeah, like Chris Hemsworth would have quit Thor if not for Taika Waititi.
Right.
And now, after one horrible experience, I was rewatching Thor 4 the other day, and I was like, this really sucks. Like, it's this really doesn't hold up. Every time that like it's almost a thing, there is a formula here. Like, there are two Marvel formulas. There's like how to make a really bad Marvel movie because they all consistently are bad in the same exact way. And then they're all really good for the same reasons. It's just amazing. I'm like, wow, that's like as corporate as you can get. It's like getting a recall notice for a car. Like, well, I can already guess why. Because they're all made on an assembly line.
yeah, and Taika was given free reign on the script, which he wasn't given on movie 1. He was given free reign to film whatever and direct whatever, and there was a lot of ad-libbing and improv, which improved it. I think he's like me, right? I'm always late doing it. When I was in school, I was like behind on doing essays. Like I just wouldn't do my homework. I'd ask a friend to send me theirs. I wouldn't do theirs. I would take theirs and start typing mine, looking at theirs. My essay would always get a better score because I could improve upon it. But you asked me to write an essay from zero, I probably wasn't the guy for it. I think Taika's the same way.
Right.
You ask him to write a script from zero, you tell him create something out of your mind, and he's like, let me use a little cocaine and get ready. Oh, where's Tessa Thompson? Where's my wife and Tessa Thompson? And he's like screaming on set or whatever, man.
The latest rounds of him, I don't even know what he's doing a press junket for. What is he?
Question, dude. I don't even know what he's in anymore.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
he's
like
still
what
working
is
on
what
that
is
show?
Taika's new movie? Like he's in a press junket.
What We Do in the Shadows. Again,
Yeah,
Is that what he's doing it for?
no,
I don't know.
That's already out. I don't
That's
know.
what I mean.
Somebody
Anyway, he
from
was
chat
asked
tell us.
in this press junket for whatever the hell he's working on. How do you feel about the moving on with Thor 5 without you? Now, I want to clarify real quick. Let me clarify this. There's no confirmation Thor 5 exists.
The only confirmation we have is at the end of Thor 4, it says Thor's coming back. We're sorry.
It says Love and Thunder will return or whatever, right?
No, it says Thor. It's
Does it say Thor? Doesn't it say Thor and his daughter? Does it not
No,
list?
I think
Maybe
it
I'm
says
tripping. I'm losing my mind.
Thor.
I don't think we're ever going to see that daughter again.
We better not, because I'm so sick of that. Like, Marvel's idea of, seriously, Marvel has one death in the MCU, and it's having a kid. They're like, all right, we're gonna write out this character. I know, give him a kid, and they'll go away. It's like, dude,
But it's not even actually Thor's kid.
I know, but like they don't care. Isn't it like also his daughter?
No,
Yeah,
it's
it is. This
It's
is actually-
Thor's daughter.
No,
No,
it's
I
Chris
mean,
Hemsworth's daughter
It's
also.
Chris
Oh, his
Hemsworth's
real daughter. Yeah,
So
his
it's like,
real daughter.
there's a vested interest there, and like getting
Well,
her in
his
there. It's just-
his sons played like younger Thor during the running sequence, and then his daughter played her at the end. Which, to be
Which is
honest, she was
cute
like
and fine.
she was
So-
fine, and she was good at what she had to do.
No
She's
problem
great.
with her.
Yeah.
She's not bad.
So I
No.
want to state though before we go into this theory that I read about what Thor 5 could be about. Thor 4, there is zero confirmation Thor 5 even exists.
Right. There is
Disney
no
has not
Thor
said it.
5
Chris
on the
Hemsworth has
docket.
not said it. No one has said it. Taika Waititi has not said it. No one has said anything about Thor 5.
Right.
Okay. Now, the internet is running wild with Thor 5 because Taika Waititi said he's not in it. He's not doing it. So they were like, that confirms it's real. He said he's not doing it. So that means it's real.
I think that's probably just him responding to them asking him that. Like, he's like, well, if you said that there's a Thor 5, I'm not in it.
Yeah.
And that's half these press junkets. I think we've gotten to a point where like interviews used to be really insightful because actors and directors and things like new things. It's all made at the studio level to the point where they literally know nothing. Like Hemsworth or not Hemsworth, the other Chris Pratt. Pratt was being genuine when he was like, yeah, I didn't know I was coming back. At the end, it was like Star-Lord will return. Some of it is probably a bit like, oh yeah, we have a movie in the works. Some of it genuinely isn't. They're getting announcements as we're getting announcements. The marketing team puts a label up and they're like, yeah, we'll find the fattest check possible to eventually bring Hemsworth back and to bring Pratt back. We'll find ways. Like they're saying they're only going to rock with their directors. Like he'll go with Gunn, he'll go with Waititi. No, we have money. They'll go with money.
Yeah. So anyway, that could be the end of our video. We could just stay right there.
Sure.
There is no Thor 5 actual confirmation. I'd love to see another Thor. I loved 1 through 3. 4 has moments, but overall, I honestly think Thor 4 is the worst movie in the MCU. I know everyone wants to shit all over the Marvels, but I think it's Thor 4.
Yeah.
No, I love Eternals. So
I do
Thor, like, I had like an ego death when I watched that movie. I like looked in the mirror for a while and had to reevaluate who I was as a person because of how much like Ragnarok defined me. I think it defined my sense of humor for several years. It like made me think of these movies could be this other thing. I really appreciated how it was written and how it was directed, whole 9 yards. And then Thor 4 happened. Broke me.
So, but, you know, instead of us making, what, a 5-minute video? Where are we at now? 7 minutes to be yelling at Hassan and firing him?
Bummer.
I can't tell if you're in a good mood or bad mood today.
I'll take that severance check to go, dude.
Yeah, here's your $2. Here's your $2 and a McChicken.
Better than what I get now.
I found not a rumor, but a theory. What if it was the siege plot? That Thor 5. Think about it. So Valkyrie now is now the king of Asgard, and they're allowing aliens from random parts across the galaxy to come and live there.
Yeah.
So what if that's how we get an introduction of Norman Osborn going against that whole thing, and Thor has to come defend everything?
That's very loose. I was gonna say the way to do it is just like, and they've alluded to it a lot. Like in Loki, we've gone to Broxton, Oklahoma, and it's like, bring back Asgard as a floating city over Broxton. That's your movie.
Right now, they're just a coastal town, right? Like they just
it's like off the coast of Norway or some nonsense, and it's like, all right, you know what? That was fun for Endgame, but let's move on. You know, these like I appreciate the idea that like, you know, the message of Asgard is a people, not a place, but it is definitely a place though, and so let's get it in here.
It's definitely a place.
Because I'm so sick of like the MCU being like, we have these amazing like rich decades-long institutions, and they last about a movie or two, and then we destroy them, and we don't replace them with anything good. You know, like S.h.i.e.L.D. Let's just tear it all down.
Let's just call the new thing Saber, and then never really define what Saber is or
do anything.
Can we just agree? I want S.h.i.e.L.D. back at this point. You destroyed it back in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, no, it's done.
Why is it not back? It actually doesn't make any sense that they didn't bring it back. And like, we need less government oversight. That's why this is the new government organization.
That's why we have damage control.
2014 Winter Soldier came out. They blew up S.h.i.E.L.D. 10 years ago, and we got nothing.
Yes, except on the TV show where they got rid of it. Then there was a tiny shield. There was the bigger shield. Then they made it back. And then they went in time. And then they're back in the past. And they're back in the future. But they're not back in the present day.
No.
I kept up with that
Winter Soldier, they blow it up. And then in Age of Ultron, Nick Fury shows up with a bunch of helicarriers being like, yeah, but I mean, like, is it really gone?
Sal, that's teed up in Marvel's Age of S.h.i.E.L.D.
I know. I watched like at least 5 seasons of that show. So I remember.
I watched it to Ghost Rider. Once Ghost Rider left, I was like, oh, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Unapologetically, I have so much to love for that show. I feel like that show kept me into a lot of things for a long time. And then it wasn't tying in anymore, and I got annoyed by that. Right. But it was good. There's like bits of dialogue that Phil Coulson, he leaves during the show because he has to arrange for that. That's how Nick gets the helicarriers, because S.h.i.E.L.D. is disconnected. But again, they don't say anything in the movie that would allude to this.
Not even a little bit.
He just pulls up.
Yeah, no, it's on the shoulders of the show. The movie is just like, Nick Fury has access to stuff. Okay, moving on. Nobody cared. But yeah,
nobody cared.
Well, like nobody asked any questions. No one in the theater who didn't watch the show was like, "Hey, wait a minute, how come there's helicarriers now?" Literally nobody.
Yeah.
It
Nobody
was just
cared.
like all you got was people who watched Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. going, "Hey, you know where you got those helicarriers? Couldn't care less." Oh,
Literally, and
But
then
yeah, I mean,
Maria Hill is a CIA agent. They keep talking about that.
oh,
They'll
Mike,
bring up how she's in the CIA all the time.
remember
What's she
when
doing in the CIA?
remember when she was going to be a Stark employee, like at the end of whatever movie, when she like got into the Stark offices as a like with it? I'm like, what were you going to do with that? Nothing.
Nothing. Joss
No,
really likes
Shield
her.
Shield needs to come back. Damage control was only accurate one time, and it was in the same sequence where they got the timelines wrong in Homecoming, where like we finally see what damage control is. Damage control shows up, they like they act like assholes, and they take over to clean up the superhero fight. That was damage control. That was it. And now they're like, yeah, no, and we also have access to all this technology, and we're a government agency, and yeah, like get the crap out.
Oh,
Get
yeah,
Get
it's
rid of
weird.
government or give me Shield.
What's weird, you know, that's the weird part. They've been trying. I know this was a Thor 5 discussion. They've been trying to bring back Shield without saying Shield.
Right.
Saber, damage control.
It feels like they lost the right. Like, doesn't it? Isn't it
Yeah.
feel like it's being written as if they
Yes.
like lost the rights to it?
It
Like
does.
this is how they would have written off Spider-Man if
Yeah.
Sony took him away.
You know what
It's
the
like-
worst is? You know what the worst about it is? If they brought back Shield, like if in Armor Wars they bring back Shield, right? They're like somebody from Shield, either Coulson resurrected or Nick Fury, you know, ignoring Secret Invasion, just walks in. He's like, "Yeah, it's Shield now. Meh. You're back to being a cleanup crew." People would complain and say things like, "Nothing ever sticks in the MCU." I can't believe that like that is exactly the world we live in, where it's like, hey, it's really messy and stupid and confusing without having this like really easy like rug sweeping organization that like is right here, and we literally did it right for like 3 movies. It's so stupid. It drives me nuts. But yeah, Thor
Well,
5.
it's hilarious when it comes into like nothing ever sticks and changes because like one, if they did brought it back now, it'd be 10 years it took to get back. It's like when
10
people say,
years.
people are like nothing stays with Batman. I'm like, Galford's been dead since 2019. You dumb shits. Like,
Yeah. Not only that, but like, do you want it to?
I was just catching up on Venom, and Venom is still the King in Black.
Yeah. And also a
He is
master of time.
He's
Like,
the
he
Master
knows
of Time
all kinds
and the
crap.
King in Black still, Hassan. They just introduced a new Venom. It's Black Widow.
Yeah.
Oh, shut the hell up.
No,
Okay,
it's actually really good. Dylan actually has the Venom symbiote, and they brought
Yes.
back Toxin, and they brought back Sleeper, and then Black Widow got a new symbiote. We don't know where the f-
Dylan
it came
is
from.
still around.
What?
Yeah.
Dylan? Yeah.
Dylan is still. I did
Dylan's
not
Venom.
care for that.
That-
I did not
Dylan is
care for that
Venom.
sequence.
He's been Venom for like 3 years now.
Dude. Maybe I fell off. I fell off so hard in that whole thing. Back to the MCU with Thor.
Yes, Thor
I'll pull
5.
up Benny here. We'll pull us back to the topic.
Thank you. Thank
It
you,
is
Hudson. I've trained you
so-
well. Took 4 years.
I haven't been staffed that long. Okay.
God.
Thor. I did not care for Thor. I always liked Chris Hemsworth, but they hit a stride in that 3rd movie
Yeah.
and into the 4th. Taika fully believed that he could continue to create such consistent quality while being, half there. And lots of famous directors have done this. Like, that's
Yeah.
true. There are times where Scorsese's on an alcoholic bender and he's creating the greatest movie you've ever seen. Things like this happen, right? Taika just found out the hard way. He's not one of the greats, and his coping mechanism, as you guys have seen from the interviews, I don't know if you've seen them, but I've seen them, where he's literally like,
deflection.
"Yeah, I only did Thor because I needed money. I was bankrupt or whatever, and it paid $5 million, and now I have enough money for my family, whatever." He's making a lot of excuses when he was genuinely proud of that film.
Yeah.
That film was groundbreaking, and if you don't like it, totally fine. Lots of people, it's not their cup of tea. I loved it. I think
I
you
thought
guys.
Ragnarok was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved Ragnarok.
It's a fantastic movie. And then into Thor 4, you're writing in an MCU it's on shaky ground right now. Like really shaky ground following Multiverse of Madness's multiversal flop. Like you're nervous about it. And I think if you go back and watch our like trailer reviews for it and all this, we're so excited and we're this is gonna be the movie, this is gonna be the movie. And you'll see, like, if you get like a still frame of me from the trailer review and a still frame of me during the actual review, that's what heartbreak looks like. Dude,
Right.
it sucked. So Taika saying he's not gonna do it, that doesn't confirm anything. don't do theories for these things until they matter. Like, there's no reason to speculate. We know more about contracts than we know about actual things the MCU have planned out, because contracts are planned first at this point.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. The best Thor 4 was actually just Infinity War and Endgame. Just putting Thor's plots together from those movies, because Thor goes through a lot in those movies, and it's pretty cool to watch. And like by the time you get to who Thor is at the end of Endgame, you know, Thor's gone through an entire character arc from Infinity War to Endgame.
Yeah.
He's the only one, and it's like actually they all the
I was like,
core
Iron Man
do.
does too.
Iron Man and Captain America. Captain America's like,
Thor
I'm
goes-
gonna
America's a
learn
little
to
like-
quit.
Yeah, I was like, he's
well, their arcs have been taking place in the Avengers movies. I feel like Thor's definitive arc, like part 1 Ragnarok, part 2 Infinity War, part 3 Endgame, and it is such a
Right.
clearly defined story.
Yep.
Like I think I've said this before. That is my favorite trilogy in the MCU. Like
Yeah.
those 3 movies back to back to back.
Right? Yeah. They're great. But with that in mind, it's like that you could still pick up where that left off. Like you could pick up that train or that thread, though it does leave Thor in like a very like you could at the end of Thor 4, you could tell like that is them going like it's over. Like he's not coming back. We're not making any more Thor movies.
It's just
Let me ask you
weird.
this. Let me ask you this so we can kind of wrap this one up here.
Yeah.
Do we want a Thor 5?
No. No, I don't
yeah.
care enough to like demand a Thor 5. It's more like if they chose all I need to hear is who's making it and what the concept is.
Because it's hilarious that Thor, the superhero that had the first 2 movies that were considered the bad ones in the MCU,
Right. Yeah.
is now on Thor 4, and there's talks of a Thor 5. Like,
Yes. And people have an opinion about it. Like they have stake in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, if we could have gotten Thor with the Guardians, even for like half a movie or whatever,
Yeah.
anything that's like a real plot, I think those characters had fun chemistry, it was fun energy. I thought what we had done was teed up Thor in a new environment for his next set piece.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't have to be a Guardians film. Like I'm not saying make it a Guardians movie, but just like live in that story for a little bit, live in that dynamic, and then you pull him out of that dynamic, but you've had him in it, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, it's hard to keep the weight off without Star-Lord telling me to pump iron today. So he's like you know, like you can have a mini arc of like, okay, you have you know, heartache, depression, right? And then you have the slow rising back up, but still like that. And then it picks up with him ripped or whatever, but maybe there's still a journey to be had. Lots of people lose weight and then they put it back on because of depression. It'd be fun to watch Thor actively fight off depression as opposed to avoid it now that he's beaten and he's like, oh, I gotta keep pumping iron, I need to where's my hammer, you know, like something funny. There's a lot of water that could have been tread. I also don't mind the Mighty Thor storyline. I think Jane Foster's fun. I think they have fun chemistry. Could have done a lot with that. I think you could have done much more than you did. I watched a clip the other day of like Thor talking to Mjolnir and like making sure he can still pick it up, and then like Stormbreaker's like turning and staring at him because it was nothing, I swear. That's so funny. That's such a good bit. And it's like those bits, those little pieces, right? You have 4 plus Guardians, Mighty Thor, the weird dynamic of Thor and his hammer, and then his like staving off depression and weight after everything that happened in Endgame. Yeah. Boom, there's your story. But instead we got what we got.
Mighty Thor should have been its own movie. Sans Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
Like the Chris Hemsworth Thor movie should have been the Guardians 2.5 and Thor 4. Like that should have been the movie. Like, because I remember after Ragnarok came out and we knew that Gunn was leaving after one more Guardians movie, we were like, well, that's fine because Taika Waititi could clearly carry the Guardians franchise after this. Except no, we were wrong about that. Get the hell away from this perfect Marvel trilogy we've made. But back in the day, it was like, oh, well, like Taika doing like a Guardians half sequel and a Thor sequel is a perfect idea. That's what Thor 4 should have been. And with Thor 5, we're past all those things. We're past, unfortunately, some of the most like memorable. So now we got to go back. Like if you're going to do a Thor 5, you got to go iconic. You got to go big, and you got to go like, you have to go with something that's better, but also more classic. Because the best new Thor stories were wasted on this. You can't like redo Gore, and you can't redo Jane Foster. So what do you do? And I'd like to humbly toss out Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill.
The Ballad of Beta Ray Bill.
I actually disagree with that statement.
We don't have Odin.
And it's probably a whole different video. But like the wasted villains and stuff like that, like Gore, Taskmaster.
Right.
I mean, You're like, we can't redo them. I think we
Can't do
could.
gore again.
No,
You
but
can't
you
do
just don't
gore.
name it
You can
Gore.
do- well,
You just make somebody else that's the exact same role because Gore is so not Gore.
I
Right,
think
that's true.
Taskmaster. I can give you Taskmaster. Feels like one where someone can take up the mantle
Easily,
and use
it's
the
just a
name and
mask.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like more of a genuine Taskmaster. Gore feels so like. I mean, they had. I mean, I've never seen somebody have all the puzzle pieces and be like, I'm just gonna put the puzzle pieces together like this and start throwing it at the ground. Why isn't it forming a puzzle? What's happening? Because
Yeah.
like you had Christian Bale, who's like, I'm never gonna do a superhero film again. Come back, and the makeup looks cool.
Yeah.
And his performance early on is cool. And then what do you do with him?
Nothing. It's not even like they nerf him or anything. It's just they don't do anything with him. It's like he's Gore and he's making a different movie from everything else. The black and white sequences are fantastic. His motivations are understandable. And by the way, the most sympathetic character in the movie, because we've met all the gods and they're all knobs. Like, at what point do I feel sympathy for anyone in the movie besides maybe Jane and Gore? You know, like when Thor's like, we gotta save the gods. That would have been a great moment, by the way, for Thor to go there and everyone is an asshole Taika Waititi clown. And then he leaves and goes, hey, maybe we're not worth saving. But that never occurs to anybody. Like, what a waste.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, we're gonna close out our discussion here about Thor 5. Verdict is doesn't exist. No,
Doesn't exist.
confirmation.
Probably never will.
I don't think they're gonna do it, but I mean, I could be wrong.
It'd be an expensive gamble.
It would be because of how bad Thor 4 did.
Yeah.
Because you already have the 3 movies.
Yeah.
You didn't need 4.
Well, and I think like Thor 4 hit, like when they were making Thor 4, that was when they still thought that like every Marvel movie could hit $1 billion. And we're past that. We're well past that.
Oh
now.
yeah.
So like now Thor 4 or Thor 5 has to succeed on its own merits by itself. And we know it'll never make $1 billion because that was an anomaly. So like, what does a Thor 5 budget look like? And what does a successful return look like for Thor 5? You know, like Thor 5, especially because it's not like it's Thor 2, like where you gotta the ante, or Thor 3, which might be the end of the trilogy. This is Thor 5. So it's like you could make Thor 5 be an intimate, small apology movie, but at the same time, you're either setting yourself up for having to make a bigger Thor 6, or you throw the whole wad at it and go like, Thor 5 is going to be the biggest, most spectacular ending ever, and it sucks and fails. Even if it doesn't suck, it would probably still fail.
Sal, you take Thor 5, you do what you just said, make the smaller movie, and then you do what they did the first time. Ragnarok, Endgame, Infinity War, Thor's arc can happen again through 2 Avengers movies back to back. You know, we can just do it again. Why not?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Only gotten funnier and better at acting throughout his MCU time. So, you know, if any actor is capable of doing something fun, it's him. Like, there's your positive spin on it. I'm a bit exhausted from the franchise after the last one. I don't trust it. I don't trust it to be good. I don't trust it to be safe. But that's how I feel about the MCU as a whole now. I don't watch the day of reviews. I try and avoid Rotten Tomato scores because they're always bad now, and the excitement for it dwindles pretty quickly. Let's just go in and decide for yourself. So, you know.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Don't forget to check out This Hot Sauce Is. Support us directly. And I will see you guys next time right here at Absolutely.